Yes, hello, and welcome to Release the Creative, your favorite show about cognition, creativity, and this week, branding is your story. So, how are you doing on these crisp October days?
Hanging in there.
It is. This is my favorite time of year, and not because of Halloween, although I do like Halloween.
That's a big bonus.
It is. It's the best. It's the best weather of the year. It's getting crisp. It's getting nice. You're no longer sweating every day, but you don't need a coat, and the air doesn't hurt your face yet.
I've been leaving windows open at home, which some people take as a kind of a spring thing, but I like fall windows.
Yeah, no,
open.
I love I love the smell of decay, of crinkling leaves, and no, I love fall and pumpkin spice lattes. Frankly, call me a basic bro all you want, but the pumpkin spice latte is my jam.
It's back on the menu, boys.
It is, and actually, Starbucks is fine, but I actually really like 7-Elevens. That's, call me a really basic bro, but the 7-Eleven pumpkin spice lattes, it's okay.
Good endorsement. No, I have a lot of 7-Eleven favorites.
Oh no, 7-Eleven is so underrated. I get that's for the record though. That's such a millennial thing to say. Like 7-Eleven, man. Anyway, so in the spirit of Halloween, we're talking today a little bit in this first segment about not Halloween movies, not horror movies, but twist, surprise, unforeseen movies. Any favorites?
Favorites? Oh my goodness. So I mean, first, a good twist comes near the end. It's such a fine line because there's so many movies where if they
were asleep all along.
Yeah, if they just blindside you with like, oh, it was a dream.
Oh my gosh, I hate that trope.
That's like the hardest hitting twists are usually the worst. They need to be subtle.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, there's a lot of good options. We were talking earlier about Unbreakable. Yeah. And I'm being honest, I haven't seen that movie in a decade, but in my memory, that was like wow, that was perfect. I need to watch this again kind of twist.
I can and have write a master's level thesis on the symbolism and the camera and the work in Unbreakable. It's probably one of my top 10 favorite films of all time. Say what you will about M. Night, and I do. Boy, is he on my shit list. But his Sixth Sense is good. It's classic. It was a great movie. But I love Unbreakable.
Yeah, that was the peak, right? He got it right.
No, most people considered it the sophomore slump. Most people would tell you, I think that Sixth Sense was superior and Unbreakable was less so, but
I think that's down to an opinion of if you like subtlety or not.
Fair enough. No, but I mean to take it out of just Unbreakable, I don't remember the second one. What the second one was? Sliver?
His movies was the Alien one? No,
Unbreakable is in a trilogy. So the most recent one's called Glass.
Oh, okay.
And then the middle one is with James McAvoy with the Split. It's called Split.
Okay.
I liked all three. I thought they got descendingly good, but they were all three fun movies. They were M. Night. They're still my favorite M. Nights. But Unbreakable's awesome because the tropes are so rich and the story is so, you can watch it 100 times and every time you watch it there's more things to unpeel and there's more things to catch and there's so much subtext because M. Night was in that early heavy-handed era of his career, so he was putting lots of detail work into
Unbreakable's the movie that for me is the when I love Christopher Nolan Batman movies, but whenever there's a quote about how Christopher Nolan wanted to make a realistic superhero movie, Unbreakable is my answer to that. Like, yeah, but really?
No, yeah, like
the Unbreakable is a realistic superhero.
Right, exactly.
Movie.
When Bryan Singer came out with the 2001 X-Men, they're like, yeah, it was like a superhero, but like it made it really real and gritty. Or Christopher Nolan really like there's all these, or the Joker. It's the truly most real superhero movie ever has to be Unbreakable. It really is just. Other twist movies, classic would be Usual Suspects. Bryan Singer, I mentioned Bryan Singer with X-Men. Bryan Singer's kind of first movie, if you don't count as student films. Spoiler alert, it's 20 years old now. We're about to ruin.
I only saw it for the first time about 5 years ago.
Really?
Yeah, so I've seen it by now, but it took me a while.
So let me ask you, did you see it coming?
I'm trying to remember. I believe I knew the twist going in.
Oh, so you knew the twist going in?
Yeah.
Okay.
I didn't know the details, though. I think what I knew was that, this character is lying about who he is. Like that was the amount of spoiler I had. So So no, I still kind of experienced it from a pure point of view because I didn't know any of the details.
That movie came out when I was very young. How old were we? That was, let's
Probably
see here.
10 or 12.
95, so I was 13. So I was 13. I think I saw it for the first time when I was 14 or 15. Like, it was definitely on. I was at my brother's house. We weren't allowed to watch R-rated movies, and so I was at my brother's house, who's already out of the house, and he let me watch it on his house because brother, yeah. And I remember, like, he came home. He's like, "Hey, did you watch Usual Suspects today?" And I was like, "Yeah, I did." And he's like, "What'd you think?" And I started, like, 14-year-old, 15-year-old, like, really breaking it down. I was like, "Well, I kind of thought this, and I kind of thought that, but it was really interesting this." And he's like, "You bought the lie." I was like, "What do you mean? No, I got the point." He's like, "No, Kirk. Everything Verbal Kent said, everything was a lie. The only true parts of that movie happened in the detective's office.
The interview.
You can't put any weight. Everyone is dead. Michael is dead. Everyone is... The only things we know are the things that the detective saw." And I was like, "No, but he said..." I was like, "Right, he said it." Like, it was 100%. And it was this amazing twist because at the end you realized that nothing you knew was true. And that's kind of the same thing of Unbreakable. At the end, you go from having this kind of Batman and Robin, like, he's this hero and this is his man in the chair. This is his oracle. This is his sidekick.
Yeah.
And then you find out that it's not his sidekick. It's his supervillain. And I think that really is the twist to twist endings, is that the real effective twist endings aren't "it was all a dream," where you find out the story was fake. The real successful twist endings are where you find out the characters aren't who you thought they were. If the story wasn't true and they woke up and it was all a dream, you're like, "Oh, I'm let down. You've just told me that I was lied to." And the reason that Usual Suspects is different is that it wasn't that it was all a dream. It's that it was all a lie. And you still know the characters. You just don't know what happened.
Yeah, there's plenty of what we would call mystery movies where you don't know what's going on, but you're from the point of the view of the person who doesn't know what's going on. Like Scooby-Doo.
Yeah.
You're following the gang around. You don't know which old man's wearing a mask, but you know there's an old man wearing a mask.
And there might be, yeah, and the twist is always like, "Oh my gosh, I never knew it was Old Man Withers."
But you're finding out with them. You're part of their journey. But all these other movies, and I guess Psycho is another one where the main character
Norman Bates,
is you're not seeing it from his point of view, even though it's all about him.
Yeah. So, like, he is in many ways the protagonist, and you're like, well, no, every other temporary protagonist dies. Like, the woman dies in the shower, the guy dies on the stairs. Like, every other protagonist dies along the way. The real protagonist of that story is Norman Bates, and the real antagonist is his mother. And you know that the whole movie, that he's this nice, awkward guy taking care of his croon of a mom. Sorry, spoilers on Psycho. It's been 60 years. But then you find out at the end that that's not true. That it's not Norman Bates and his mother. It's just Norman Bates. And there is no mother. And that's worse. Did you ever watch Bates Motel?
Was that the TV show?
Yeah.
No.
Me neither. Me neither.
I heard people liked it.
Me too.
But I have not. I did watch the Who Made That shot-for-shot remake in the 90s.
Gus Van Sant.
Yeah, I watched that in the theater for some reason. Well, I
think you saw it with me.
I know the reason is that in the 90s we went to every Friday we'd go to the movie theater and see something.
I'm pretty sure that I was sitting somewhat adjacent to you, because I know that I was there with Lori, and if Lori was there, you were definitely there somewhere.
That policy of see a movie once a week no matter what is also what led to us seeing Congo. Michael Crichton's
I did see that with you, yeah.
And the Great Expectations movie.
Okay, for the record, I like the Great Expectations movie.
Yeah, but we would not have seen that if we had more choices.
That's fair. Actually, I don't know if you remember this. We're totally off topic here, but I met you at Jurassic Park 3. I don't know if you remember that.
I do not remember that.
So it was one of those times that we were all just doing the great, let's go see a movie for no other reason than we can. And we all went and saw a movie, this big friend group. I was a freshman, and we went and saw Jurassic Park 3. And there was this big group, and I only knew Lori. And there's like 12 people in the group, so I didn't like it. I probably met a lot of people that day. I don't remember. But at the end of the day, when we were calling for all the moms and the minivans to come pick us up, my mom had said, "Hey, can you get a ride?" And everyone's like, "Okay, where do people live?" And your mom was like, "Oh, Kirk, we kind of live over near you. We'll give you a ride." And so I rode home with you and your mom, and that is how we met.
I mean, obviously, I remember seeing that movie in theaters. I did not remember that was the one where we met.
That is where we met. Yeah. So 96, I believe.
Well, that's a great start to a friendship.
Yeah, like
Jurassic Park
3. Jeff Goldblum. Anyway.
No, that was 2.
Hold on.
Yeah, so now you got to find out, was it 3 or was it 2?
Was it 2? Yeah.
Jeff Goldblum is The Lost World, Jurassic Park 2.
I think it was The Last World, but it was 96. So whatever movie came out in 96.
Yeah, we can narrow this down.
We can.
Please stand by.
Please stand by while we disentangle our childhood.
Critically important information, because I do need to know which Jurassic Park sequel.
It was Jurassic Park 2, which came out in 97.
The Lost World. All right,
So it's The Last World.
That makes me feel better. It's a slightly better movie.
It is, actually. Yes, because I remember the scene with his daughter doing like the gymnastics.
That's the second movie.
Yeah, no.
And then they run around San Diego. Actually, my daughter kind of came up with that concept. We were watching the new Netflix Jurassic Park cartoon, and she said, "Why is it always in the jungle? Why can't And I said, "Oh, have I got a movie for you?" I have not watched that yet, but
I know you watched The Lost Worlds, though, right? Like not The Lost World, the Jurassic World.
Yeah, the newest two. I saw both of those once. They have not been a revisit and rewatch kind of
really?
movie
My
to
kids
me.
love them, especially my son.
Yeah, well, yeah, no, my daughter has gotten into, my younger daughter is 6, has gotten into the idea of Jurassic Park, but she's way too young. It would be Nightmare City. So I have taken to showing her the safe parts of the movie, which is about 22 minutes at the beginning.
Doesn't the giant thing eat the crocodile and like the shark? Doesn't the giant?
Well, no, we watched the original Jurassic Park, which the first 20 minutes is just like a safari. They drive around, they see the dinosaurs.
It's like Animal Kingdom.
They have lunch, and then it's bedtime before the rainstorm starts.
But so to get back on, like Shutter Island. Have you seen Shutter Island?
No, I've seen the trailer. I vaguely know how it ends, but I haven't seen it.
And again, it's the same thing. It was all a dream, which is why. But it wasn't that it's all a dream. It's that same thing again. It's that it wasn't that the story was fake. It's that the character wasn't who you thought they were. Mm-hmm. When you find out that the story was fake, it tends to be a letdown. You're like, oh, I thought, well, that's lame. But the real successful ones, Usual Suspects, Unbreakable, what are the other ones? Fight Club. Oh my gosh, Fight Club. Same thing. Yeah. Fight Club. The story wasn't not real. The story absolutely happened. What the big reveal was is that no one was who you thought they were.
Yeah.
The characters were the story you thought you were watching. It's not that the story was wrong. It's that the characters were completely different.
It's the take off the mask moment.
Right. Just looking up.
And it's a tough art. You're aware of my, I don't want to say dislike of, but it frustrates me how close the first Frozen movie missed the mark, because they tried to do this.
Yeah.
And they tried to be like, oh, this guy was a bad guy all along, but it wasn't.
They didn't take it far enough.
You need to lead up to it in some way, and it was just kind of a out of the blue,
right?
And then it like that tricks you in the moment, but there's no joy in rewatching. There's no there's no, you don't discover new things.
So that was my biggest issue. Okay, so this movie I loved until the last 90 seconds.
Which movie is this?
Now You See Me.
The Magicians.
The Magician movie.
Yeah.
That's called Now You See Me, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Jesse Eisenberg and yeah. 2013. And the reason is exactly what you just said. You watch the movie, and Mark Ruffalo's trying to catch these thieves, and they're going through, and they're going through, and they're going through. And at the end, spoilers, you find out that Mark Ruffalo's actually the guy that it's the exact opposite. And that should be perfect. It's like, oh my gosh, they didn't change the story. It's just that it was the exact opposite story that I thought I was watching. The only problem is that was a change and a reshoot. And so the character of Mark Ruffalo and the directing of the movie didn't know that
until they redid it.
And because of that, all of the nuance, all of the layering that Usual Suspects did have, and Unbreakable did have, and Sixth Sense did have, and that other one that we just, Psycho, did have, Now You See Me doesn't. So when you watch the second time, you're like, no, Mark Ruffalo is a bumbling idiot, until the end where he's like, haha, I'm a master magician. You're like, but you weren't. You were an idiot.
It's the equivalent of a magic trick that's just a video edit. It's like, it's not actually impressive.
It's so funny. Like, we are video producers, and I am a huge Penn and Teller Fool Us fan. And anytime someone comes on Film to Life and does Film to Life, I'm like, stop cheating. Like, it's just, these are just sleight of hand tricks in front of a video monitor. I don't find it impressive at all. And it's maybe because I have too much of an understanding of how video works.
Yeah.
But it's just, I hate Film to Life.
So speaking of magic movies, I wanted to bring up is The Prestige as an example of this, but I'm not sure it is. Is it just a straight up normal movie. You're Wolverine is the star, and
Wolverine and Christian Bale.
Well, but is it more like Wolverine's the star, Christian Bale's the antagonist, full stop, or is it a Norman Bates situation and we're seeing it from the wrong side? I haven't seen it recently enough to really remember.
And I hated it. It is in my opinion Christopher Nolan's one true failure, because there are some, in my opinion, like just truly systemic flaws in the film. The better one that didn't do nearly as well, in my opinion, was The Illusionist.
Yeah, I saw that too.
And The Illusionist is one of, well, I'll tell 2 points here. One, The Illusionist I thought was a far superior film, and it's exactly this. It's that you're watching this movie, and there is a twist at the end, just like there is in The Prestige. And it's exactly what we said, is you watch this movie and you get to the end, and it's not that the story you were watching wasn't the story you were watching. It's that you didn't realize that the entire movie was a magic trick.
Right.
That the end, the girl wasn't in the box. Like, that everything you'd seen, it's not that they, gotcha. It's that, holy crap, I didn't realize that this was all one.
I took an exit ramp off the freeway an hour ago and I didn't realize it.
I didn't realize it. And that's brilliant. I don't know if this plays in, so we can cut it out if it isn't, but The Illusionist is one of 2 movies that I can name that do this, because they're the 2 movies that I've accidentally found. But lots of stories get lost in the first act. And if you were to chop off the first act, I'm always big about the first act is your story. That's where you build the information, you build the world. But if you give people too much of the world, especially in mysteries and actions and thrillers, if you give people too much of the world, there's no drama. The first time I saw The Illusionist, I was late to the theater. I thought I had more time than I did. I was like, I just missed a few minutes of the previews. And I walked in, it was already 10 minutes into the movie. And I was like, whatever, I missed 10 minutes. And I saw the movie and I loved it. And it was getting panned by everyone. I was like, I liked it. Like, what the heck? And I went back and I watched it again. And I was like, oh no, this movie's awful. And the true thing is that you can't unknow information. And so if you just don't watch the first 10 minutes, the movie is intriguing and interesting, and you're like, wow.
They spoiled themselves is what happened.
And so and the other movie that is far more interesting is Cellular. Chris Evans, Cellular, Rebecca De Mornay, truly awful, what's his name? William H. Macy. Mm-hmm. It is an awful summer blockbuster. And it was on HBO a few years ago, back when I was not watching on demand. I had an actual television, and I flipped to HBO, and it was like the last half hour, and I watched the last half hour, and I was like, this is great. And I flipped to it, and I was like, oh, this is that movie again. But now it's the last 45 minutes, and then it was the last hour. And so I kept
experiencing pieces
to the end. Like, I'd watch it to the end every time, but I was watching it in incremental, and I loved it. I was like, dude, why is this movie like getting such pan? And again, the movie's great if you don't see the first 15 minutes. If you experience the movie as Chris Evans, the phone rings, I pick it up, I'm hurt, I'm in a. If you experience it like that, which is how I was, like, it's awesomely interesting. However, if you watch the first 15 minutes, which explains who she is, why she was kidnapped, where she is, it completely destroys. You should be meeting Rebecca De Mornay with Chris Evans, but instead you're not. And by not having that twist, by not having that piece, it kind of rips out the soul of interesting.
Well, it's a very fine line, and we're going to take a quick break, and I would love to talk about that line when we get back.
Absolutely.
Hey, Jeff and I wanted to take a minute just here at the top of the show to say thank you for joining us on our new podcast and YouTube show, Release the Creative. Whether you're new to our brand of crazy or you followed us over from one of our other social media platforms, LinkedIn, Twitch, Facebook, or Twitter, we'd like to thank you for joining us here. Please take this moment to hit the subscribe and the like button, and also that funny little notification button so that you can be notified of all our new episodes. We're really trying to get this new show up on the road. Thank you so much for watching.
And we're back after our break. We've been talking about movies that not just a twist, but one where you're on the wrong side of the protagonist line, where you're trying to keep up with the plot, but you don't have all the information.
Right. And like you said really well, like Scooby-Doo, you're in the Scooby Gang and you don't have all the information, but neither do they, and you're with them. The great twist endings are when you're with the Scooby Gang and then you find out the Scooby Gang is actually the killers. And you're like, whoa, wait a minute, that's like not at all like, wait, what? When you find out that the characters aren't who you thought they were, it's way more twisty than when you just didn't know the story or didn't know who did it.
So we're big on, using storytelling for everything around here. This is a fun tool.
Sure.
Is this something we should be sprinkling in everywhere?
Sure. So, I mean, your brand is your story. Personal brands have become this big thing. We actually might be on the...
Okay, say your personal brands.
Personal brands are this big thing. In fact, so much so that we might actually be kind of on the far end, the plateau, the descending of the comet of the personal brand. But, everything from the Instagram to all the influencers, the online influencers, your personal brand. What is your brand? And a lot of people, boomer and older Gen X, are still of this mindset that your personal brand, a brand is your logo. It's what you put on your coffee cups. It's what you put on your letterhead. And past that, you just do good business. Mm-hmm. And as David Aker taught us, the father of modern branding, that's just not true. That your brand is who you are, and it's that relationship you have. And what a lot of people do wrong is, and it's not that they're doing it intentionally, it's that they don't give their audience the right information, or they have things be a twist, or they have things. It's okay to have your audience wanting more. In fact, you should always have your audience wanting more. But it's when they find out, they're like, oh, this is a pyramid scheme. No, thank you. You never want your customer to find out that they didn't know who the characters were. It makes for really good movies. It makes for really bad branding, because you're like, oh, I thought that this was the Wildlife Federation, not Monsanto. Like, that would be quite the rude awakening, that you were donating to Monsanto and not, Greenpeace. Which, I'm not going to get into that. I could do a whole episode on that. And so we have to be curating a brand that speaks to authenticity. Now, that's a buzzword that I really don't like, but we have to, having people find out that there's a twist ending in who the characters of your brand are is a great way to lose people really fast. Okay,
so I know authenticity is buzzwordy.
Yes.
But it is the point, is right. We're trying to tell our own story and not, it used to be that if you wanted to sell a hamburger, you put a clown on TV.
It's true.
And you don't do
Thank
that
goodness that trend went away.
Yeah, you don't do that anymore. So what are we trying to do?
Well, I mean, think about it this way. So think about all the PR scandals, and every single one of those PR scandals was when the audience found out that the protagonist of the story wasn't who they thought it was.
It got a twist in real life.
It got a twist in real life. So, like, the one that it's probably not the best example, but it's what I can think of at the moment. It's like Rachel McGowan. I think it was like 18 months ago. No. Yeah. About 18 months, maybe 2 years ago. She was doing a book reading at like Barnes & Noble or something. And a trans woman stood up and started asking her about why she was minimizing certain things in the trans community and things like that. And first, you could tell that she spent about 0.1 seconds trying to pivot. And when this agitated the trans woman and Rose McGowan, who had a room full of fans there, people excited to see her, people that were excited because of Charmed, which was a feminist, a popular feminist show of its time, And Rose McGowan, who'd been in Doom Generation, and Rose McGowan, who dated, Marilyn Manson. She had all these fans there. And all of a sudden, everyone in the room realized that she's authentically a bitch. Like, they're like, oh, she's not who we thought she was. And that's a twist. And that's what you want to avoid. It's that, so, you can go ugly early. You get on TikTok these days, or you get on CNN or Fox News. There are a lot of people that are raging. Ann Coulter, she's a raging bitch. The difference is that people knew that going in.
Yeah, so she would have different fans.
She would have different fans. Your brand, no matter if it's selling hamburgers or selling books or selling you, your brand has an audience. What you need to avoid is having your audience that you build find out that you aren't the person that they thought. Because if they suddenly find out that you aren't the person they thought, they're like, oh, that room full of people, which was all over the news, at least my news feed, Rose McGowan, and then she got home and demanded an apology from Barnes & Noble. She demanded, you're like, oh, honey, no.
And it's not just, that's an extreme example. It took, I know myself personally, but both of us, years to realize that everything says something about who you are.
Everything.
up to the point, and this is something that's very hard for people to understand. We, for many years, charged too little for our work, and we viewed that as altruistic, where we'll save you money. But what it told people was, we're not in your league. We're too small.
We're too small. We're too small.
We don't have the experience.
Like we would drop our prices for every person with a sob story because we're both passionate and altruistic and like, oh, we want to help. And what we realized is that very quickly that was losing us money, not just because we were charging too little, but because big money didn't want to work with people charging so little.
That's not even like we're creating an ad for ourselves and what do we say in the ad.
Right.
It was just through our actions we were telling people that you're too good for us.
Right. And it's we did a commercial or a piece of online content a year or so ago about pop quiz. What is it that you do in your business that isn't communication, that isn't branding? And the answer is nothing. What are your office hours? 8 to 7, 9 to 5? Are you 24 hours? Is it free shipping? Is it what's your office, your dress code? Everything you do goes to culture, which goes to brand. Culture is just the word for internal branding, where branding is the external. It's just it's that thing. I was really sad recently to find out that Coca-Cola, which is one of my absolute all-time favorite brands, external, has such an amazingly poor internal culture. It is a very 1950s tie-wearing culture, despite the fact that the external brand is
that at all.
Not that at all. And that's really upsetting because just like that, the twist for me is, the character in my story isn't who I thought they were. I think the best example of this right now, do you know where I'm going with this?
Someone that's mismatched?
Ellen DeGeneres.
Oh, yes. Yeah.
Ellen DeGeneres, Ellen DeGeneres has had 3 television shows. I've known who Ellen DeGeneres was since I was 12 years old. She has been this source of positivity and fun, and she's been such a great source of joy for a lot of people. And just recently, in the last 3, 6, 8, 10, 12 months, it's been leaking more and more how utterly toxic the work culture there is. And the branding there is there are a lot of people out there that are hard to work for. And that's a known quantity. And it's kind of okay. Like, people are like...
Yeah, it's interesting to contrast with the last few years of David Letterman's show.
Yeah.
It wasn't the same stories, but it was, he is hitting on his employees, he's dating them, he's, kind of this uncomfortable environment.
Sure.
And he got, blackmailed for it. And like, it was...
I remember that.
It was the kind of scandal that could have kicked him off the air forever. And it kind of just passed over because he
owned it.
He owned it, and he's like, and everybody kind of viewed him as a cantankerous, unpleasant person to a degree, and so it fit his brand.
And I never watched Letterman, but I for whatever reason was that night. And when he was like, so yeah, I was recently blackmailed. Someone said that they had a screenplay about how I've had relationships with people that I employed, which is true. And so I've handed over everything to the FBI, and I'm not, and people are like, and it was in the news for like 4 seconds. They're like, wait, you did this? He's like, yes, I did. It was bad. I shouldn't have done it. Can we move on? Sure. Cool. Let's move on. And you're like...
That's not necessarily what we're advocating for.
No, it's not.
Don't be a shitty person so you can get away with shitty things. But it is an example of, if you are true to yourself, if you're advertising yourself truthfully, then there's very little people can do to subvert you.
And to a certain degree, once you become a truly overtly toxic individual, you'll never get anywhere. And so there is something for don't be a toxic individual, let's be excellent to each other. But there is this kind of thing of when people found out about Ellen DeGeneres, that working for her wasn't like puppies and rainbows, it broke hearts. When people found out that Neil Patrick Harris was gay, nobody cared. Nobody cared because he came out and said, "Oh yeah, by the way, guys, I'm a happy homosexual," and that's and they're like, "Oh, huh, okay." And he even talked about that on the Ellen DeGeneres show. He even said, he's like, "I think the greatest compliment to me in my career was that when I came out as gay, nothing changed," because he hadn't hidden it. Same thing with Jim Parsons. Jim Parsons and Matthew Bomer, whatever. There's several people that talked about how like coming out was just like this not big of a deal. And when they came out, people were like, "Oh, okay, cool." That's a little bit more signs of the times as well.
Yeah.
But
it would be harder for some people than other people.
It would be. most of these guys had been very open, pretty much upfront. They had never, whereas other people, Kevin Spacey, this is a little different because it involves child abuse, but like when Kevin Spacey, it broke people's hearts because he had, and yes, he'd always played this kind of, he'd often played a jackass, American Beauty, and he'd often played, or Swimming with Sharks. But when you found out that he was this truly predatory individual, it kind of broke your heart, like, because it wasn't that the story changed. It's not that you learned, it's that the character changed. So the secret to branding your personal brand is that always be honest with your story. Right now I'm on TikTok pretty heavily, and it amazes me, the business owners, the corporate owners that are there talking about their struggles and their depression, and about how there are times that they've closed their door and cried after a meeting, and you're like, you're a dude in your and like,
yeah, that would have been that would have killed you 20, 30 years ago.
That would have killed you probably 15 years ago. But it's people are like, I appreciate knowing you struggle. Let's do business. And you're like, I love that. It's the big trick is you can't let people be surprised by who you are. There's a brand for you. David Letterman, cranky old man. Found out he was a cranky old man. Nobody blinked. Rose McGowan was this like hard, cool, fun, spunky feminist chick, and you found out that she was like, oh, or the other big one right now is J.K. Rowling.
Yeah, because her books seem to take the opposite view of what she's saying. Now, if she had written a book with those views, then people would understand.
She wouldn't be who she was, and her entire fan base would be kind of apologists for that.
Yeah.
But, you know, she's writing books now that are about transgendered murderers, and it's like JK, Joanne, like Ms. Rowling, like, stop it.
She's really doubling down.
She's really doubling down on just being a truly abysmal human being. Come at me, JK. I swear it. I've seen your Twitter battles. I'm up for it. People are always willing to learn more about your story. People are always willing to learn and see real people. What people are relatively unforgiving of is finding out that they invested in the wrong person. So what works really well in thrillers, wait, you mean Verbal Kint was Kaiser Soze? Sorry. Doesn't work in real life. It feels like betrayal. It feels like twisting. It is detrimental, almost irrevocably detrimental to a brand to find out that the brand that you loved, whether it be a person or a company, wasn't the brand that you thought they were.
It's like the Joker says in the Christopher Nolan Batman movie, if you blow up a truck full of soldiers, everyone goes on with their lives as normal, but you threaten one mayor and everyone loses their minds.
Yeah. No, I mean, and what he was actually paraphrasing was a quote that I love, I'm sorry, by Joseph Stalin, where he says, if you kill a person, that's a tragedy. If you kill a million, that's a statistic. And you're like, Joe, that's pretty awful and true. When you hear that, when people hear that 200,000 people died of the coronavirus, they're like, oh gosh, that's awful. When you hear about the one kid struggling for his life, you feel that much deeper. One person's a tragedy. A million's a statistic. And we feel much deeper to entities our brain can't wrap our head around mass scale. They just can't do it cognitively. The show is about cognition. Your brain can't actually process. When you hear Amazon has 40,000 employees, you're like,
it doesn't even make sense.
Like, no, that has to be, that number can't be right. Amazon's worth $1 trillion. I don't understand. This one employee can't feed their family because of blah, 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 blah. You're like, attention must be paid. And you're like, well, wait, a minute ago there was 40,000 people. Now there's one. We will always relate to a family, a person, a brand, a story, much more than we will a statistic. So the trick here is never mislead people, never tell people a story that you aren't prepared to be, because you can't lie forever. You can't. It's just, it'll come out, especially nowadays with social media being what it is. I mean, Harvey Weinstein got away with it for as long as he did because the world was that. It's not that anymore. It's your personal brand, your brand in general, again, whether it's your company or yourself, the damage is that twist ending, where and it was all a dream, or really he was a millionaire. Unless it's Undercover Boss, people genuinely don't take kindly to finding out that the players in the story weren't the players that they thought they were.
Good for movies, not good for your brand.
Yeah, tell a story and be honest. And it's okay to have a villain. It's okay to have twists and turns and intrigue, like what's behind door number 2. But never have people find out that you're the Mark Ruffalo at the end of Now You See Me. Because A, it was a crappy twist. And B, people don't like being lied to or feeling like they've been lied to.
Imagine that.
Imagine that.
All right, well, that's going to be it for this week.
Okay.
Hold on. All right, so that's going to be it for this week, and we will see you all back here next week. See you if you're watching us on YouTube, and hear us if you're listening on your podcast.
Awesome.
Thanks for joining us here at Release the Creative. Kirk here would never say it to your face, but he thinks you should like and subscribe to us on YouTube. And Jeff is far too shy to admit it, but he thinks you should subscribe to us on your favorite podcast reader. Yeah? Well, you're the one who's always saying that everyone should give us 5 stars on Apple Podcasts. Why do you have to make everything so difficult?